everybody, back with another Interlisp video. This time I want to mess with bitmaps a little bit. I don't know how much I did this already, but one problem I'm having. Let me go over a problem first. I'm just gonna all cap in this video. When I work I usually don't, but it's just easier not to mess something up whenever I'm playing with some of these videos. So if I CD and then CDIL and then LS, I'm gonna grep -I for press. I was still trying to get that moon with stars to work and I couldn't. Now, there are some ways you can print bitmap, I want to say. Actually, if I type it over here, I don't know how to save to a file, I guess. Print to a file. So if I say print bitmap, I want to say is what it is. Let me print bitmap and then question mark equal. Then it's asking me the bitmap that I want to save, and then the file I want. This file seems to have to be a stream. So there's another one. Open image stream, I want to say. If I say question mark equal, then here it's going to ask for the file I'm saving to, the image type and the options. If you don't have to put this here, and you don't have to put this here if there's a file extension that's going to try to read this. In the past I had said I thought press was enter press, but it's not. So there's a press format that went to press printers. Of course I don't know what I'm talking about. So there's interpress that went to interpress files, and then you can also go to display. Actually, these are supposed to be quoted, I think. But these are the types you can go to, and that's where these came from. Whenever I was trying to do this, though, the problem I was running into is they were always 0, and now all of a sudden they're not. So I don't know how this happened, but at some point, like every time I checked, they were always 0, and then later on, after I had logged out and came back, I realized that there's actually something in these now. And if I look at one of these, like, maybe I'll just cat it. Who cares if I mess up the terminal? See what happens, because I think this is oh, I guess I have to do a -1. There we go. Now I don't know if this is actually somehow the file actually got written or not. This 4040, the only thing I could just be junk gibberish, but 4040 could have been the pixels, height and width of the pixels that I was doing. So maybe somehow I actually got it to write, but now I can't read it back in. So there is a, I want to say it's read bitmap. Yeah, it's looking for a file, but this seems to want to be a stream too. When I try to do read bitmap and open a stream, it just keeps creating new ones instead of using the ones that already exist, and they're all zeroed out. So I have no idea what I'm doing wrong or how to get that to work. Yeah, I don't know. Without using like common Lisp stuff or something. So then I try to find another hack to at least save a bitmap. I guess the first thing to go over is I was using EDIT.BITMAP for the longest time trying to do this. Notice that this pops up. This is almost like it's a side menu for something. So if I come over here and edit this, it doesn't matter what I do in here. I have no idea of how to save this file when I do it this way. I guess I could just do this middle click and abort this, right? The same thing will happen if you try to, like, if I was to say, I want to say if I say edit L, then sedit will do the same thing. So if I just say like Joe, and this comes up, now I'm in a sedit window. I can't type anything, but as soon as I put parentheses, let's say if you hit Alt and then left or right parentheses, it'll put some parentheses in here. Now I can start typing stuff in here, let's say. So if I said lambda and then blah. Now if I save this, Control X to save this, where did it go to? This isn't anything that it understands, so this doesn't exist. Normally it asks you what kind of stuff you want to create. Like for doing the function definitions and the variable definitions. So that was another way of like not getting anywhere either. But that was a long time ago when I was doing that. But it's like that edit bitmap that's not going to go anywhere. So the other problem I'm having is if I say set Q Joe below, let's say. Oh, sorry. So if I fix this, and then I'm just using Alt and left parentheses to jump. So Control X will jump to it and execute that. So Joe is now a variable. But if I type files, then this is asking for advice. Do I want to say where it goes? Yes. So if I say I don't want to do nothing with advice because I don't know what to do, this set Q didn't set up something for me to mess with. Now, Common Lisp wasn't always part of this, so I know there's a way to do this, but I don't know how to do this. So how do I just set Q and then save this to a file? If I tried to create a function definition, then it would do that stuff, but I'm still not familiar with a lot of this stuff. So the way I'm going to get around this is I'm going to use CL DEFPARAMETER, because this will actually, files will actually say, what do you want to save or whatever. So I'm just going to call it BGPic, let's say, to set a background picture. And then I want to BITMAPCREATE. BITMAP create. And then if I do a question mark equals here, oops, then it'll tell me what it's looking for, width, height, and bits per pixels. Normally, this bits per pixel is going to be 1. And by default, if you don't put it there, it will default to 1. You can also put 8 and 24 and some other settings. Like all the numbers aren't going to work, just the ones that work. Like if it's 8 bits or 24 per like little pixels, basically that's just going to make it wider but not height. So you'd want your width. Like if I put that to 8, I might say like 1 here and 8 here and then 8 here. Else the width is going to be real wide and the height's not. But I'm just going to say, I don't want it to be this big, but I want to test, like show something else out. So I'm just going to put the 1 there, even though you don't have to have that there. Now that creates a bitmap for me. And if I was to say BGPic right now, you see it's a bitmap object, let's call it. I'm pretty sure it was still objects back then. So now to edit this, instead of using that EDIT.BITMAP, I want to use EDITBM. This is how you actually are going to be able to like save the changes you make. So EDITBM, and I'm going to give it that BGPic, the thing I already created. So now I'm going to edit the bitmap that I already created. And it's going to pop up pretty big. But I want it to be big just to showcase. So the first thing I want to do is just scroll up a little bit, which you can do. Why is that not scrolling up? So I can just scroll up like this. Oh, I could have just done that. But I can't go left and right now without going to a scroll bar. So just as long as I'm not in the bottom of the file, because I'm going to draw stuff underneath this, let's say, then I can start drawing. And I can't draw anything. But what I have found is if I start drawing whatever, just random stuff, instead of paying attention to the window I'm at, pay attention to this. Whenever you're drawing, just like whatever. And it'll start looking like a shape of something, kind of like looking at a cloud and you see a dragon or a face or something, right? You'll start seeing, if you just start putting random pixels down, you'll start seeing stuff over here, not over here. And then you can start going from there, let's say. So here I'm going to go like this. And then I'm going to go like this, just draw a little dude. And then here, let's make a little thing right here. And then maybe give him an eye here, and an eye here, and a nose here. And then like a little mouth over here. All right. Now, something that might be confusing is if you right click right here and go to paint and start drawing on this window, this has nothing to do with your picture whatsoever at all. When you're in this mode, you can come over here and set the size. So I can set my cursor a little bit bigger so when I draw, right? So if I come over here to one of these other windows, let me just quit out of that, right? That's not part of my picture, only this stuff over here is. If I was to come over to, well, not that window, but probably could do it over there too, but let's just create like a new Interlisp window. I can right click this and start painting over here, right? And then now if I start typing in here after I quit this, then I can just say like, whatever one. This is what this is on this side, this right here. nothing more. I don't need that window anymore probably. So now if I'm to come over here and say, okay, this has saved my file over here. What I'm going to do is just fix that so I can edit this again. Let me get rid of this and see my pictures there, but the rest of that stuff's gone. Now, if you actually want to draw that way, you can use that paint window that way also, but you got to middle click this bar right here. So far, it's the way I found to do it. And then paint. Now, when I start painting here, it's actually part of my image if I tell it to be when I'm done. So let's just say, oh, and while I'm in here, and the other way I don't know how to change my stuff, but here you can change this, like the size of your stuff so it's big. You could set different modes and change the shade, so how the shading is when you're drawing. So you can change different stuff. And then like right here, that's kind of a big pixel size. So let me go to 4 maybe. And then we'll just draw something with this real quick. So maybe like the ground that he's jumping off of or something. And then now, if I come over here and go to quit, do I want to make that part of my bitmap? Yes or no? I'll say yes. And this added that in there. Now that I'm in here, I can come over here and touch this up. Like I don't know how to change the brush size over here. And then maybe just put some little like random like marks around right here. All right, so now if I save this, okay. Now the issue I've been running into is how do I actually get that bitmap into my file if I log out of here and log back in and don't use the same like vmem or sysout, let's say. And so now what I want to do is type files, because I use DEFPARAMETer, it's actually going to let me do this. So do I want to say where stuff goes? I want to say yes. And because I hit the right bracket last time, it's not asking me about those log out or login bars, whatever they were called before. Now it's asking for a name, so I can type in the name. So I'm just going to say like BGPIC. Well, I've been naming this the same thing, but maybe just to show the difference. BGPIC t.lisp. Hopefully I remember that. Just to note when you're messing with the pick or the pick the variable, I guess is why I'm doing it this way. So I'll create a new file and I'm going to say yes. Now if I was to come back over here and ls in here, the file's not actually there yet. So if I was to say ls and grep -I for bgp, let's say, it's not over there yet. So what I can do is do a cleanup or a make file. I think it's make file, not make files, but make file. I'm going to give it bgpicked.lisp. And then now if I was to rerun the same command over here, then notice now I have my picture over here. So what I can come over here now is say c bgpick, I think it's not quoted, picked.lisp. Oops, trying to hit a quote there. And then notice right here, my file ends already. The issue with this is my picture, if I logged out right now and logged back in without using the same image and did a new image, my files will still be there, but this will not be there anymore. And since I don't know how to make the file write and read over here, back and forth, it's another hack I have to I guess I have to mess with. So now the way to get around this is I can say ed, which I've been using a lot, and it's going to bring this up. So I can say ed bgpick, but what I'm going to say instead is dv, which is to edit the vars. How do I explain this? Because I don't even know what I'm talking about, kind of. I want to say like these rpack, see how it has variables here? It knows about the bgpick, but this bgpick is not the bitmap image. And so I want to say dv is editing the var section of the rpack. And I want to say rpack is kind of like maybe like a global type of namespace inside here. And this is probably how I could use setq if I knew how, like somehow create this file and then use this to edit that file and add like stuff with setq, because somehow they had to do this before the common list stuff came in here, right? So I'm going to say edit the vars. I think this de-edit's like de-edit display or whatever. So I wanted to do a video on that too. I just haven't got around to it because I've been trying to figure this out all day. So I'm gonna say BGPick. Oh, well, you know what? It's picked. I almost got confused again. But this is what I want to mess with, this RPAC thing, right? So I want to edit these comms. And then if this pops up, then notice that is this guy right here. And then what I want to come over here now is I'm going to add vars and BGPick. And then I'm just going to, you can control X to save or control meta X to save and close this window at the same time. So now if I see this file again, still not going to work. So I probably have to call files again just to see. Right here it's showing like there's changes to this file, right? So what I'm going to do is question mark, and if I type make file, because I typed that earlier, it's going to show me the history. Question mark shows you the history of stuff. Like, that was cool to find out. And right here it didn't run that, it's just showing me the file. So now I could, well, you know, it's actually showing me the number too. So if I say fix 17, then I can make that file again. So that's pretty slick. And see how it wrote this over again? That's like when I try to open a stream, that's what it's doing. It's creating a new one rather than reading it in the open image stream. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. But now that I've done this, I can say C BG pick.lisp. And then notice in this RPAC, now this has been added to this vars BGPick. And notice last time it was already over. Now there's more stuff inside here. And look, that dude's actually there. So BGPick is my bitmap. So now I can say change background and give it BGPick. And then my dude's over there. So if I was to shrink these dudes, oh, that one turns into an icon. This one will just shrink down like that. And now I have my little dude jumping around. Now the question is, if I log out and load that file, does my dude come back? Oops, I need to middle click that. It pops up right away. So I'm just going to say log out. I'm not going to resume my session, and I'm not going to use a custom. So I'm just now running a fresh medley. And when I come back in here, I'm going to load that file up. It's so convenient how fast this loads up. Not only that, but like in another video, I had created a sysout. It's kind of awkward for me to be using all caps, but it's just easier for a video to not mess up some of the Interlisp stuff, I guess. Even if I change my read table because I'm jumping around, I don't want to like accidentally name something wrong. And I did a sysout, so if I was to like ls minus lh sysout, then the sysout files, it's only 13 megs. Like all that stuff that I had saved in there and the stuff I'm doing is just sitting here at 13 megs. And same thing if I was to ls to vmem. Oh, ls minus lh vmem, let's say. Then it's still just 13 megs. I mean, this is, I don't know, this thing is really cool. Especially how much stuff they stuffed in something so tiny. Because it has Interlisp, Interlisp T. I'm pretty sure the Interlisp T, which I was calling it before the old Interlisp, is Interlisp 10 for like probably on the PDB 10. Then they have the common Lisp and they have the Xerox common Lisp. And all this stuff's still packed into 13 megs. So the question is if I load, I think I have to quote that, bgpicked.lisp. And then I could say change background again. I wish there was a tab completion. I don't know if there is or not, but I haven't found it yet. BGPick. And then there he's back. Now the other question I have is, can I now edit that? without having to make all these other crazy changes and stuff. So what I want to do is do edit BM and then give it BGPic, right? And then let's just scroll up here a little bit, and then let's just say we draw a balloon or something. So from here there'll be and maybe put one more little dot there, and then have a balloon, let's say, and then maybe there's like a little, I don't know, like somehow you can put like shades on stuff. I don't know how to do that, but whatever. So now I want to come over here and just say okay, which I haven't really messed with this part. This is how far I got. But now if I say files, I want to say where stuff goes, but I don't want that. So I don't know, like, is this saved here now? Or like, do I need to do the make file? So I'm not sure, but I'm just gonna do it anyway. So make file and bgpic.lisp. So now I have a new revision 3. And now if I log out and then log back in, load that back up and see if my changes are there. Which I'm already happy how far I got with this. Now all this could be maybe not so complicated of doing that if I knew how to save those files, like print a file and read the bitmap files. So load bgpic, and it'll automatically just choose the last revision, and then change background. Of course, I misspelled background again, and then it's actually a variable, so I don't need to quote it, and it's bgpic, not bgpicked. There, it's back. So I don't know. I think it's really cool that even though I don't know how to do one thing, there's another way to get around everything, I guess. Ribbit.